Thank you for your interest in the Strategic Investment Fund, a real estate acquisition strategy to help root communities at risk of displacement. The current RFP is open from June 2nd until July 14th, 2021. The presentation objectives are to introduce you to the Strategic Investment Fund, review baseline criteria, and provide additional context to support potential applicants. The SIF is a real estate acquisition fund. We will fund the purchase of land with existing buildings, or buying a portion of an existing or planned building like the ground floor of an affordable housing development. Funds from the SIF originated from the sale of the Mercer Mega Block, a publicly owned property in South Lake Union, and were allocated by the mayor and council to root communities at high risk of displacement in their neighborhoods. Council confirmed this purpose in the 2021 budget. Discriminatory practices in public and private investment, disinvestment, and public policy have significantly impacted Black, Indigenous, and people of color communities, BIPOC communities, as well as queer and transgender BIPOC communities, people with disabilities, and low-income families. The Strategic Investment Fund will support site acquisition for community-led projects in growing and changing neighborhoods. The SIF is stewarded by an interdepartmental team from the Office of Planning and Community Development, Office of Housing, Office of Arts and Culture, City Budget Office, Office of Economic Development, and the Department of Neighborhoods. When the funds were originally committed in 2019, a committee representing communities at risk of displacement and equitable development experts met to focus on the purpose of these funds. The SIF will fund proposals that respond to immediate displacement pressures, create long-term impact by strengthening relationships and community wealth building, combine affordable housing and other community benefits such as affordable commercial space, public open space, cultural space, and childcare. Proposals do not need to include all of these elements, but must include one of these community benefits. The final purpose of this fund is to fill gaps in the existing funding infrastructure for community development. The RFP will be open for 6 weeks. Staff will host 3 info sessions, one on June 9th, one on June 15th, one on June 29th. All applicants are encouraged to attend at least one. Once applications are received, city staff will prepare the applications for review by a committee of individuals representative of communities at risk of displacement and equitable development practitioners who will score applications and make funding decisions based in a consensus process. City Council will review and approve the final funding decisions in September, after which awardees will be contacted. Through this fund, we will only consider proposals for acquisition of real estate, whether it's a vacant property, a property with an existing building, or buying a portion of an existing or planned affordable housing development. We will not fund any proposal over $5 million. We do not have a minimum funding threshold. These funds could be used to fill gaps in an existing acquisition or acquire a property in its entirety. Where applicable, these funds could be used to cover costs to hold the land, like vacant property insurance and property management, and anticipated due diligence costs like zoning and environmental analyses. Please include these projections in your budget where applicable. The SIF will fund proposals in high displacement risk neighborhoods, noted in red areas in the map on the left, and or low access to opportunity areas, noted in brown in the map on the right, with proximity to significant planned or recent investments in parks and transportation. We are intentional to not define this at a granular level because we do not want to exclude important projects because of a narrow definition. We would like you to tell us how you think your proposed site meets our geographic goals. I'm going to walk through eligible applicants by sharing a few examples. One eligible applicant are community-based organizations representing communities at highest risk of displacement or who have been displaced from the geographic focus areas, including Black, Indigenous, people of color, queer and trans, BIPOC, and low-income communities. For example, say you're an evolving coalition of community partners who have spent the last 2 years meeting periodically in the hope of organizing the development of a new community responsive space. You've been meeting in person and now online and have challenged yourselves and the neighbors to envision a new space that meets the needs of your community. You have engaged local businesses and have created a needs assessment, a list of gaps that you've recognized in the new development in the neighborhood. You hope to provide a stable home for several community-based cultural organizations, to create some affordable housing, and to include a childcare facility. You have started to explore what capacity you might have to engage in a shared development project. You have looked at a handful of properties in the neighborhood that might be appropriate for your idea. You do not yet have a development partner and have not yet developed any designs and have not yet done any fundraising. We would encourage you to apply. Another example for this eligible applicant is that you're a well-established nonprofit cultural organization who's been negotiating for the purchase of an additional site where you hope to expand your educational programs and establish a new public art gallery space. You've been successfully fundraising for the opportunity for several years, have a full set of designs and renderings for the site, and have secured a purchase and sale agreement with the seller. You are $2 million short of the full purchase price and are hoping to finish the capital campaign and close the purchase this year. We encourage you to apply. There are several considerations for the community-based organization applicant. Community groups may choose to partner with nonprofit developers, community land trusts, and other development entities for additional project support. Another type of eligible applicant are commercial or residential tenants at risk of displacement, including BIPOC, queer and trans BIPOC, and low-income tenants and businesses, with an idea or momentum for community and wealth-building experiments in your building. For example, you are a locally owned small business who rents a storefront in an older commercial building. You learn that the building may be going up for sale. You reach out to a nonprofit real estate group or a public development authority that is mission-driven to support your desire to control your own real estate. Together, you begin to fundraise and build partnerships, but still have a significant gap between your resources and the appraised value of the building. We encourage you to apply. Another example would be a young architect who lives in a 70-year-old 10-unit apartment building with your young daughter. The rents are affordable, not through any intentional program, but rather what gets referred to as naturally occurring affordable housing. The building is old, the tenants are stable, the owner is relaxed, building maintenance is slow and intermittent. When you learn that the building may be going up for sale, you organize with your tenants with the intention to purchase it yourselves. You scramble to form a nonprofit tenants organization, but likely have less than a year before a sale is finalized. We encourage you to apply. Some considerations for a commercial or residential tenant who is applying: due to the restrictions on the gift of public funds to individual businesses, a commercial tenant, like a small business, must partner with a public development authority in order to have a successful application. Residential tenants may choose to partner with a community-based organization, community land trust, or nonprofit developer for additional project support. Property owners within the geographic focus areas may apply for the Strategic Investment Fund if you are interested in discounting your land and providing public benefits for communities experiencing displacement. For example, a group of community members has pooled their resources and formed a new LLC. You dream of purchasing an old nightclub space in your neighborhood and launching a community-based entertainment venue and restaurant, and donating a portion of your profits to a neighborhood food bank. The project would cater to the local community, showcasing emerging BIPOC artists and serving locally sourced food, much of which would be grown by a cooperative urban farm in the neighborhood. You've approached the owner to sell the property at a reduced price, and the owner was amenable. Some considerations for property owners applying: your site will only be considered if you are already working with a community-based organization or if there's a group interested in matching with your site, which we'll discuss in the following slides. The last eligible applicants are developers or owners of affordable housing projects with vacancies in commercial space who are interested in offering community ownership opportunities in the building. For example, a 10-year-old nonprofit community health organization is outgrowing the rented space in an older building. You've been looking for a new space that could offer them the opportunity to grow and stabilize. You developed a relationship with an affordable housing developer who would be interested in selling the organization the ground floor of a new project near a light rail stop. The community health nonprofit would own their portion of the ground floor as a commercial condominium unit. You've begun to fundraise for the opportunity and have developed the beginnings of an architectural plan. We encourage you to apply. Some considerations for the developer or owners of affordable housing is that your site will only be considered if you are currently working with a community-based organization or if there's a group interested in matching with your site. For both property owners and nonprofit developers who are submitting a proposal, we will expect an ownership partnership with a community-based organization, small business tenant, and/or residential tenants. We encourage you to develop a partnership ahead of applying. If another applicant has not identified a site and conveys they're interested in partnership, we will consider matching applications. No site matching will occur without the consent of the community-based applicant. Community applicants are not required to identify development partners in advance of submitting your application. Commercial tenants will require a public development authority partner in order to acquire a site. Please reach out to staff if you need help getting connected to a local public development authority. While project readiness will be assessed as part of the scoring, it's more important that you know what kinds of partnerships you may need than having a partnership agreement in place. Through this process, we hope to balance the selection of projects that are poised to make significant progress once the site is acquired, which we call shovel-ready, with projects in communities that need more time and capacity building, which we call shovel-hungry. A project that is in a visioning stage will not necessarily score low on project readiness if the applicant has thoughtfully considered and reached out to the types of supports needed to ensure a successful project. We encourage you to include accurate costs in your application regarding pre-development and feasibility analysis for a specific site, holding costs, and relocation costs if there are existing occupants. Applications will be reviewed by a committee selected from community development experts and practitioners and stakeholders from communities most impacted by displacement. Proposals will be evaluated by the following criteria, which is outlined in the RFP guidance documents. The project should build assets and community wealth, respond to imminent displacement pressures. We will be evaluating project readiness, and we'll select projects that advance capacity building and self-determination and amplify resources. The reviewers will be screened to ensure there are no conflicts of interest with applicants before reviewing proposals. Funding decisions are made through a consensus process. Thank you for joining us. For more information, contact Julia Pasciuto at OPCD, email julia.pasciuto@seattle.gov, or call 206-386-1598. When you contact us, please inform us if you need an interpreter.